This video is part of week 6 assignment. My name is Mortoz Abdullah. I'm a student at Aspen University in the Doctorate of Science program. For this assignment, I'm mainly going to talk about research related topics. The first type of first questionnaires would be related for research study. To begin a research study, we must find out what is the research about. Is it a problem, issue or concern that we are trying to solve? What is the driving force behind it? For IT related project, it could be a bug, a issue, a process improvement. For example, development team could be trying to find a way to improve coding and the related challenges that they encounter. What is the process they should follow to help them overcome that issue? The second basically question we need to find out the answer for is how to understand the issue. Is it a practical issue, theoretical issue, or real world implementation issue? Most of the IT related project research topic will be from real world implementation issues, as IT has a very high real world value and everybody tries to do their best to overcome challenges for a practical solution. And the second one is, what is the current solution? Once we identify the issue, how is it handled? We need to actually evaluate that. Is it an inconvenience? Is it a budget related issue or a schedule related issue? What is it that we need to improve on? And how is the current process helping in that process? Is it working or is it not working? The second topic we need to think about is the solution effective? Meaning that the current process or basically implementation that we follow, is it effective or not? Usually it's not that effective. That's why we want to do a research and find a better solution. So basically at the same time we need to find out the potential benefits of the new solution and the expected outcome. Is it gonna be a suggestion, some kind of methods, some kind of organizational changes that we need to actually follow to benefit the outcome of the research? The second basically point that we need to figure out once we know what the topic would be is how we're going to do the actual research. Of course, we're going to have to work with the sample size. The first topic there is that the participants within the sample must provide written consent. This is part of ethics. They must agree to it. They must know exactly what their input would be and how it would be used. And of course, the outcome of the research must be for the good of the society or for an organization, for example. So a process improvements with regards to coding standards would be a good outcome for any organization to follow. The third point is, of course, it must be based on a valid cause, or if it requires any animal testing, actually for any kind of biological testing, it has to have a very positive track record. The research should be based on realistic issue, basically, meaning that the output that it will produce will have real world value and it will have a real world positive impact. The other points we need to think about is that it cannot have any risk of injury either to the participants or the researchers. Of course, this is a very basic one. Nobody should get hurt. And of course, the research risk that we take cannot exceed the benefits. This is another important outcome. And the participants must have a way of basically relieving themselves from the commitment that they would participate in the research process. This is very important, that they are not held or made to provide any input against their will, because the data that they will provide and the output that they will give to the research process is very important. It must be valid. It must have a real world value. So every participant should have a way to basically relieve themselves and excuse themselves if they feel necessary. The third point here is that once we know the sample size, we need to figure out a way of how to use that, what is the method that we will use. Is it going to be a qualitative or quantitative or combination of both? Most of the researchers follow a combination of qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative basically is kind of a must for any kind of mathematical formulas or any kind of relationship that is sought as part of the research process. The other part is the sampling method. We have case study, we have natural observation, we have survey questions. In this particular topic, we can have a combination of either 3 or just 2 or just even 1. It depends on the actually nature of the project or research. For example, if we are researching on a coding standard or trying to identify a particular issue within a code base, basically having a survey questionnaire should not be enough. Actually, in that case, we will have to have some kind of case study whereby we use a model or we use a copy of actual production code repository and basically conduct a case study on it. How realistic the data needs to be. This is another very important one. Can it be controlled or uncontrolled? Most of the time it has to be very, very realistic, based on real world implementation. Otherwise there won't be any value actually for it. Now the other points that we need to really consider about is data analysis technique. Now that we have gathered important data, how are we going to analyze those data? And basically based on the analysis, we will have to figure out a conclusion or validate a hypothesis, one or more hypotheses. So basically data analysis method is very, very important. Most of the research would require some kind of mathematical formulas to be used. Most of the time more than one type of formula is used, and they are presented in a graphical format. For example, there has to be charts, graphs and images. All the data that are collected has to be basically categorized, prioritized. The reason for that is the volume of data usually should be high to have any kind of real world value, and high volume of data, once categorized and prioritized, can be very meaningful, and those categories should be related. Basically the relationship between different categories should be identified, and relationship should be basically noted, and that way the analysis can make sense basically, and can be valuable. The third point is discussion. Once data analysis is completed, the presentation is done, basically those information should be analyzed in details to basically make sure that specific points are discussed. As a matter of fact, the details has to be really elaborate. There should be ample examples. There should be in-depth discussions, basically in support of the hypothesis, in support of the findings. That the findings should connect to the hypothesis. Either the hypothesis should be validated or it should be proved actually incorrect. To conclude, basically ample time has to be basically spent for the preparation. This is the most important part actually. If we do not prepare, basically the outcome, the following processes will not be good, and there will be a lot of challenges. So staying focused is another very, very important point, and that even though there are challenges, the focus and objective should be maintained all the time. And the last one is show clear and precise output. One of the most important element of the research is that it has to be credible. In order for it to be credible, the data has to be reliable and valid, and in order for achieving reliability, the outcome and on all the details must be precise, clear, and it should be presented in such a way that it is understandable to all, basically, and the output must be clear and can be linked to the objective, actually underlying objective. The last one is references for this project, for this actually analysis. I have gone through all 4 references that I have mentioned here. I read them all. I actually combined the information and presented that in this slide. The reason, one thing to note here is that I did not actually mention any direct quote in there, and the reason for that is I have participated in many presentations by high-level executives, CIOs, CEOs, and I have never seen them use direct quotations. Similarly, at my work, every month we actually invite experts from various groups to give presentation on various topics, and I have not seen them using any direct quotes in their presentations. Also, in the IT world, using direct quotations is not very frequent, so that's why I have not used any, but information from these sources have been incorporated and used indirectly in the previous slides. Thank you very much.